Hello and welcome to Connect, the weekly podcast of the California MBA featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and I'm happy that you could join us today. Before I welcome today's guests, I'd like to thank our 2024 President's Council sponsors. And these are companies that provide a tremendous amount of financial support for the organization, in large part so that we can continue to be the strong voice for the real estate finance industry before the California State Legislature and our regulators. So please join me in thanking this year's President's Council sponsors, and those companies are AmeriHome, Arch MI, Guild Mortgage, CMG Financial, Consolidated Analytics, Funding Shield, and Western Alliance Bank. Thank you all so much for your support this year and in previous years. We appreciate it. With that, I'd like to welcome today's guest. I'm welcoming Michelle Richardson, who is SVP and Chief Financial Officer at Plaza Home Mortgage. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've had the pleasure of working with several people at Plaza and several on my board, so I was really happy when we got connected to have you on Connect. I always like to get started the same way, how to journey to the mortgage industry. So why don't you share with us how you got into the mortgage business?
Sure, I'm sure you get a lot of interesting stories. It's not like
Yeah.
go to school to come here to mortgage banking. Well, I've been in the industry for 24 years, so if you're doing the math, I was 2.
I was, and that's the number I came up with, so that's great.
I've always been, kind of a math nerd, overanalyzing everything. I've always wanted to be a CFO. I figured along the way I would find an industry I was passionate about. My very first job in high school was doing bookkeeping for a local bowling alley, so I've always done finance. But when I fell into the mortgage industry, I was at the very, very, very bottom of the totem pole, doing data entry for impact. And it was a really fun run. I had some really great leadership there that saw something in me, even though I was just doing data entry. Grew fast there and worked a number of positions. And when I left, it was during the crisis. I was not immune to the layoffs there. I was a business analyst. So I took advantage of the crisis, went back to school, got my master's in accounting, and was able to then come back and marry my 2 passions. So got an accounting position at Icon Residential, was there for a couple of years until they were getting purchased by Rushmore Home Loans, and then transitioned over to loanDepot. And at the time, loanDepot was just starting out. So super fun time there, super high growth, super fast paced. Helped them build their treasury group from the ground up, had a lot of fun. And then had the opportunity here at Plaza. Mike Fontaine was supportive enough to trust me with his CFO title, which I'm very honored to have. And that was in 2019, right before the pandemic. So I choose a very, very interesting times to transition, but having a lot of fun here. It's a fantastic company.
You worked for some great companies. Congratulations! A great history, a great career in the industry. And of course, Mike is one of my board members, so I've had the pleasure of working with him for quite some time. He's a great guy. When I was kind of doing a little bit of research on you to find out, some questions for today, I was so impressed with all of the professional designations you have. Your CMB, AMP, CTP. I'm like, that was very impressive. Congratulations on all that. Can you share with us how those designations have helped support your career growth?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I like acronyms apparently. So I'm a huge proponent in higher education and, the constant search of learning on a daily basis. And a lot of that comes with these different designations. But for my position and for the industry as a whole, I cannot support enough the CMB designation. I know the CMBA has the Future Leaders, which is very similar in what they teach. And you get a very well-rounded picture of the industry. You get to learn all the different aspects and touch points. You get to network, and most importantly, you get to give back and teach and mentor others.
I have, I know several people that have gone through the CMB program, and to a person, everybody says the same thing. They're like, you have to go and get this. It was like the best thing I've ever did. People who haven't been in the business that long and that have had decades in it. I mean, they all have the same review of that. So highly encourage anybody to pursue their CMB and other designations. I believe in that as well. So, we're 2024, we're still in the midst of kind of a tough cycle for originators. How can a company be competitive in a market like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for both the purchase and the refis. Obviously, the affordability and the inventory issues on the purchase side, the rate environment on the refi side. I think to be competitive, what you really have to do is support the borrowers and help educate them. Look into and offer products that offer down payment assistance, any other programs or options to keep them educated. I mean, every dollar counts to them right now. So I think it does help you remain competitive, but really it's supporting the consumer.
And how is Plaza setting themselves apart from their competitors?
Actually, much like that, we are a product leader. We're very unique. Our position is very unique that we don't have a retail channel. We're full third-party originator and wholesale and correspondent side. So on the wholesale side, we're very committed to helping our brokers increase their market share, providing the products that help their borrowers. And on the correspondent side, offering liquidity to the smaller originators and helping them offset their risk through our certified loan program.
And I know that you had mentioned, making sure that the loan officers are just aware of all the programs and products that are out there. I think that's really key. It's all the time, right? But in a market like this, I think it's finding any way to help the borrower. That's a great position and outlook. One of the initiatives that the California MBA is highly engaged in this year is bringing awareness to California's insurance crisis and how it's impacting the real estate finance industry. So can you share with us how our insurance crisis in California is impacting your business?
Well, we're not unique in that it's impacting the industry as a whole. Obviously, as a California located originator, it's impacting us. We're closer to it, but it is the domino effect of this crisis is impacting every area of real estate. For the mortgage owner, for those that lend in California, the mortgage owner, the mortgage borrower, we're just talking about affordability issues, and now this is compounding that problem. I think 7 out of the 12 largest insurance companies have left California since 2022. I think State Farm was the most recent news story. Newsom's admitted that this is an area that has needed reform for over 30 years. The disaster situation here in California, these insurance companies are just unable to write policies or unable to figure it out. And so either they're exiting completely or they're increasing costs significantly. So even for renters, I mean, the property on top, the property they're renting from, they're going to have their rent increased. As a consumer, the commercial real estate market, they're going to have to increase their prices because of the increase in costs. It's freezing the housing market completely. We are out of time and we need reform now. I know that there's a lot of voices that are speaking this and there are actions in place, but it takes time to reform and we're out of time. So you're going to find either folks are going to not be able to purchase insurance and forcing foreclosure on their homes or being displaced if a disaster does occur. So there's a lot to unpack here. And yes, we're a California-based lender, but it's impacting the nation.
Yeah, it is definitely, it's a little bit out of what we normally do in advocacy. It's usually like a legislative matter or a regulatory matter. And so we're hoping that our efforts will, will be part of the solution to bring about a more expedient resolution to our crisis here in California. So thank you for your comments on that. As we talked at the beginning of our conversation here, Michelle, you've had a great career in financial services. What advice would you give to a young mortgage professional just starting out?
Be patient. The cycle will change tomorrow. Complacency is death in this industry. So always be willing to learn, willing to branch out. Again, it changes on a dime. And remember above all 2 things. Number 1, this is a relationship business. Network, create the relationships. You will have them throughout your career. Number 2, we're all in this for the same purpose, which is, legislation and putting people into homes and doing it in a fair way. So just remember, we'll have stressful times, but if we're all working towards the same mission, that's what we're here for.
And you can build your professional relationships through your designations, right? Your CMB society and all the people that I'm sure you met when you were going through those courses.
Yes, definitely. And again, what I'm looking forward to most of the CMB designation is giving back and teaching and mentoring, and grasp onto those people that are willing to do that, because again, there's no school to learn how to be a mortgage banker, so you have to learn from others.
Have to learn from others. That's right. That's right. Plaza, of course, is a member of the California MBA. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very fortunate to have Mike Fontaine on my board of directors. Can you share with us why Plaza chooses to support the California MBA?
Mike Fontaine is great. Plaza Home Mortgage is great. We together support the industry as a whole in any way that we can. And I think the issue we were just discussing with the insurance crisis is a great example. I think the key words in your mission for the CMBA is advocacy, education, and connection. And I think everything we talked about today was just about how it is important to connect and educate others, and the advocacy work that we can partner with to get those voices out there for this crisis that's happening today. I mean, that partnership is crucial.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. And thank you for being on today's podcast and for Plaza's great support over so many years. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thanks to all of you for joining us on today's podcast episode of Connect. To access any of our past episodes, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time on Connect.